Well, this is one I've wanted to do for a long time, a detailed comparison between Fuji's Q5 turbine sprayer and their new D6. So let's put them head to head. We'll weigh them, spray them, check the sound output, and hopefully every other detail you might want to know on these HVLP systems. As far as the basic features on these units, they're both variable speed, and to me that's a big selling point. So on the Q5 it's infinitely adjustable, and I usually don't max it out. I usually have it set about what I would describe as a 3 or a 4 stage on that one. Now the remote control does not come with the Q5. This is available separately, so any links I have I'll drop them down in the description box so you can check those out if you've got a Q5 and you want to add that remote. On the other hand, the D6 comes with the remote, so that's nice. There's no extra accessory to add to the power cord on that. The remote already works with the unit the way it comes right out of the box. There was a fixed gun holder on my Q5, but I had to take that off to get it fit inside my custom-made spraying cart. I'll show you that a little bit later. The D6 has a minor upgrade, but it's a nice touch. It's a gun holder that flips away when you're not using it, so this is pretty handy for the gravity feed style guns, and tuck it away, you won't even notice it's there. Even with that nice accessory, I really recommend getting a gun holder like this. It's nice to have one right by your spray station. I typically put a big heavy magnet on the bottom, and that just keeps it from sliding around my bench when I put my gun in. The hoses are actually different on these two systems as well. It's been updated a little bit for the D6. Now the Q5 comes with the familiar blue rubber hose and the optional flexible whip. I definitely recommend getting that accessory. But on the D6, things look a little heavier duty, presumably just to deal with the extra output of that 6-stage turbine. The first few feet of this hose are the really stout looking black rubber hose, and then it transitions into this shiny gray hose. To me it looks like a flexible electrical conduit in a way, but on the D6 packages you'll get this flexible whip included. And that'll just give you a nice quick release attachment at the gun. Then just comparing the size of these units, the D6 does look a little bit bigger, but they're both very portable. The Q5 is very boxy and rectangular looking. It's about 15 inches wide, 11 inches deep, and including the handle, just about 10 inches high. And the handle does pivot up a little bit or lay down when you're not using it, so I kind of like that feature on the Q5. Whereas the D6 is a little more stylized. To me it kind of looks like a 1980s boom box, but overall you get about 18 inches on the length. It's about 12 inches deep, and the overall height, including that fixed handle, is about 14 inches. Get that Q5 up on the scale, see how that one weighs in. Looks like about 23 pounds, 12 ounces on that one. Versus the D6, we'll get that on the scale. Looks like we got about 25 pounds, 7 ounces. So despite their size difference, the weight is very similar. And then a quick sound check on both units. Now we'll have these attached to a gun because they sound a little bit different when you run them without a gun attached, but we'll do sound readings at about 15 feet away because after all you're supposed to keep the turbine about 15 to 20 feet away from your spray area. So we'll do a couple of readings, one at a 3-stage setting and the other one we'll turn them up wide open. So with the Q5 set to approximately stage 3, we were getting readings right around 68 decibels. Again, that's about 15 feet from the unit. And with the Q5 cranked all the way up to a stage 5, the decibel readings only increased to about 70. Now testing the D6, on stage 3 we were getting readings between 73 and 74 decibels. And that increased to 76 or 77 decibels on stage 6. So overall, a little bit quieter on the Q5. Now, will that make a big difference for you? I don't know. It probably depends on the situation that you're spraying in. For me, I'm in a shop setting, and neither of these scream like a shop vac. Some of the smaller units are pretty noisy, but the tone and the volume of noise on both of these units seem pretty decent to me. Okay, stick with me guys. We're going to talk about the differences in filters on these, quickly discuss the performance differences between the units, and then as promised, I'll show you my specialized cart that I made for this Q5. So essentially the performance on these, if you're spraying a lacquer, shellac, or polyurethane, is identical. No difference in the atomization or the type of finish that it lays down. The one difference that does exist is this is a 6-stage versus a 5-stage here, so you can spray thicker liquids. And the benefit is you can spray latex or even those urethane modified cabinet paints that I'm so fond of, unthinned right out of the can. So you can do that with the D6. With the Q5, you can spray those. In fact, the cabinets behind me were sprayed with the Q5, but I did have to thin that about 10% before loading it in the gun. The filter on the Q5 is easy to get at. Just tip the unit up and you can pull out the big soft foam filter. Those are washable and reusable, but you want to keep a couple on hand. So pretty easy to use and install. The one complaint I've heard from other users, although I never had trouble with it, is that some material can get past this filter and into the turbine. So you really want to make sure you keep this clean and keep a fresh one installed every couple times you spray. Now the D6 filters are easy to access as well. Just twist that end cap and it'll come right off. Inside on both ends you'll find a pre-filter that's foam, so that's washable and reusable again. But beyond that there's actually a pleated filter, and that's nice for keeping any contaminants out of your unit. And that just snaps back in place and you can add the end cap again. The other side of the unit is very similar, but instead of having that pleated filter, you again have the pre-filter, and then you've got a soft foam filter on this end. And most of the kits are coming with extra filters now, so it's nice to have those on hand. And both sprayers can use a variety of gun styles, whether that's the bottom feeding T70 with a 900cc cup or the gravity feed T75G with that mid-size 600cc cup. Once in a while I'll even see a kit paired with this g-xpc gun. It's a side-mounted gravity feed gun with a smaller 400cc cup. All of these are pressure assisted, so really good guns, but the defining feature there is that little kickstand. So even though it's a gravity feed gun, it'll stand up on its own. And here's that little custom cart I built specifically for that Q5 sprayer. So that one's on locking casters and it has a nice hose storage on the side. Storage drawers for all my extra air caps, filters, and accessories. Even keep the guns in the lower drawer there. Dovetail drawers, of course. There's a masking paper holder on the other side, as well as the power cord accessory you need if you want to use that optional remote control for the Q5. But most importantly, all of the doors open up and swing back to allow good ventilation to the unit when you're spraying. Even this lower plexiglass door folds all the way up and out of the way, unrestricted ventilation, and as Fuji will note, they want that sprayer very close to the floor whenever you're using it, so we checked all the boxes with this design. I actually built this cart for a popular woodworking article, so I'll put issue information down in the description. If you like today's topic, give me a quick thumbs up and be sure to drop down to the description box. You'll find links to both these systems so you can do a little more research yourself. So if you're in the market for a new HVLP sprayer, here's kind of where my thoughts break down. If you already have the Q5, should you rush out and grab the D6? No, probably not, unless you absolutely have a very thick urethane paint that you're using all the time and you just don't want to thin it. Then the D6 would have the decided advantage on that. It also might have the advantage on those distinct stage levels where this is a infinitely adjustable knob, but they're both basically variable speed and both very capable sprayers. So if you already have this one, you're probably good. But someone that would step up to this, I would say, would be if they were new to spraying and they just wanted to get the very best system, get the D6. Or if you have a smaller system like the Semi-Pro 2 or a Mini-Mite 3, where you do fine with the thinner coatings like lacquer, but you want to jump up to the thick coatings like latex and urethane paint, it might just be the time to step up to the D6.